Well, for millions of readers around the world, our next guest needs absolutely no introduction. He became a New York Times bestselling author when he was just 19 years old and currently holds the Guinness World Record for the youngest author of a best-selling series. He's a little bit older now, but taking readers back into the world of Eragon with Murtagh. It's a fifth standalone book that is part of the wildly popular Inheritance series. Welcome to Christopher Paolini. Thank you so much for being here. We really, really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit about your history. You know, my daughter very kindly said you were a nerd before nerds were cool, and you made this cool. Let's talk about writing as a high school student and writing this best-selling series.
Well, I was homeschooled, which helped. So I graduated early because I never took any summer breaks my entire life. Thank you, Mom. And I got bored, and I just wanted to write the sort of story that I enjoyed reading, which was something that involved dragons and adventure and magic and all of that. And it took my life over, and here I am.
Okay, wonderful. And so this is bringing readers back, but not necessarily, it's not a chronological, and it's kind of a standalone book. So let's talk about this, sure. and this special edition, because it is absolutely gorgeous.
Well, Murtagh takes place after the main series, and it follows the main character, Murtagh. But you don't have to read that series to read this book, but it is also a continuation of many of the storylines as well. And it was just a delight to come back to this world after so long. Last year was the 20th anniversary of the first book, Eragon. And now we have this beautiful deluxe edition, which has 5 new pieces of art in it, all of which I painted myself. We have sprayed edges, and we actually have an extra chapter and some cool content in there as well that I don't want to spoil.
Okay, yeah, no spoilers. But let's talk about the artwork as well, because I think a lot of your readers didn't realize that you're actually an artist as well and do that.
That was my first love. I almost became a professional artist instead of a writer because I read too many stories of starving artists. I didn't realize how many starving writers there were.
I was going to say.
But yeah, so I did all of the interior art as well, and paintings have been a great passion for me. And the cool thing is with the books, I can share that art and use it to serve the story in the world in a way that I wouldn't be able to do if I were just painting without the writing.
Absolutely. It's your visualization that comes to life.
And no one's going to get it the way I want to get it, so I might as well put the time in.
Exactly, exactly. Talk about, you know, enveloping yourself in this world and how these stories came out, and then what it's like to kind of revisit and be back there. And talk about, you know, there was an interesting story behind why you wrote this book, too.
You know, every book comes from a different source. I always need some key idea that drives me to write it. With the first book, it was the idea of a young man finding a dragon egg. And that just was a fun thing to play with. With this book, the funny thing is a few years ago, I had a fan who tweeted me late at night and said, "Christopher, what is Murtagh and his dragon Thorn doing after the end of the inheritance cycle?" And I was totally sleep deprived, so I wrote back and I said, "Oh, Murtagh just enchanted a fork and called it Mr. Stabby and won a fight with it, and the dragon's not too happy about all this." The horrible thing is I couldn't stop thinking about that, and I ended up writing an entire short story about this magic fork. And then that kicked off actually the events of this book. And this is actually this is a serious book. This is a proper book, but it started with that silly tweet.
Unbelievable,
yeah.
right?
So I owe my fans for that one.
There you go. And this book has been out, but this is the special edition because it is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, I wish you could see up close how amazing this is. How has it been received by your fans?
Well, Murtagh came out November last year, and last I heard, it's still on the New York Times list, so I have no complaints.
Well, right?
Yeah, I think the fans have really been enjoying returning to the world. So many of them grew up with the series like I did, and have said that reading this book felt like returning home.
Sure.
And writing it felt like returning home for me. So I have many more books in this world that I want to write, and this is the first of that sequence, so to speak.
Okay.
But a lot of that just depends on time and energy, because I'm also developing a television adaptation of Eragon with Disney Plus at the moment.
Okay.
And it's funny, writing scripts takes a lot of time. It's just like writing books.
Yeah, talk about that transition and how you feel about it. I mean, watching this come to be, is it hard as a writer to see it like that? Because it probably doesn't play out exactly like you'd like it to.
Well, no, you have to make adaptations to go from book to television. There was a film adaptation back in the day, and I wasn't involved with that adaptation. This one, though, I'm co-writing, I'm producing, so I'm knee-deep in it, and it's been a great, fun experience so far. I think the biggest difference is that in a book, you can jump into someone's mind and you can experience their feelings that way. With television or film, you have to find ways to show that, which necessitates certain changes, but all of that to serve the same story and the characters in the world.
Wonderful. And did you feel like you've gotten a younger audience with this newest release? Because you're bringing back the old people who've read it, but then this is also such a genre that is so crazy popular among young people today. Yeah,
Even from the very beginning, my readership has sort of been 8 to 80, and this book has proved that's true again. So yeah, we have lots of new young readers coming to my events, and then also longtime readers as well. So it makes me happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good luck. Any other hints as to what might be coming next besides the TV show?
More dragons, more magic swords, and I just got to sit down and write it now.
There you go. Got to find that time.
That's right.
All right, that inspiration. Christopher, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. We really, really appreciate it. So this deluxe edition is available right now everywhere books are sold, and you can find some signed ones at Schuler Books. Learn more about his entire collection at paolini.net. We'll be right back.